Okay, so we solved the mystery of why the bleeder resistor on this capacitor fried, and yet the two bleeder resistors here didn't fry. It all has to do with Ohm's law. Oh yeah. There's no schematic on this thing. I assumed all three capacitors were wired together in series, and then you hook the bleeder resistors parallel across each capacitor so it bleeds off the voltage when there's no voltage present and drains the capacitors. It's not the case on this one. These two are seriesed, and this capacitor is paralleled. This is 3,500 volts at 4 microfarads. So all this is doing is adding another 4 microfarad to the circuit. Now, the general standard is absolute minimum capacitance on the high voltage circuit, 16 microfarad. And that's been done by lots of people testing and stuff. Me too. I've tested things, tried things. And you definitely want way more than 16 microfarad, but you can get by with 16. These two capacitors are series together because their voltage apparently was too low. By seriesing them together, you double the voltage, but you have the microfarad. Okay. If I put a bleeder resistor across this one here, it's going to be parallel with the two series resistors. When you parallel two resistors, you drop the resistance way down. The lower the resistance, the more of a dead short the resistor becomes across the circuit. That's why this resistor burned up, those two didn't. I would like to see those gone. I would like to see like a Harbach board from something like a SB220 and put that in here. That's what I'd like to see. Supposedly he plugged it in and turned it on. We're going to go ahead, bring it up on the variac one more time, see what happens. We fried it a little over 77 volts on the input of the AC circuit. So let's juice it up, see what happens. Closing the blast shield. Yeah, if one of those oil-filled caps goes off, it's going to go off like a fucking bomb. And I'm nervous as hell, but let's throw some power to it. Everything feels okay. Tubes are starting to light. The voltage is starting to come up. .83 volts. Everything's still holding. .100 volts. .120. Alright. Well, nothing blew up, nothing smoked, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to run it that way. technically the two resistors that are jumping across the two capacitors in the back, those are going to be seriesed together in relationship to that parallel capacitor, so they will definitely offer some kind of leader value. So yeah, it's kind of alive. We're gonna try to get some RF power out of it next. Oh boy, stay tuned for that on Psychotech Labs. Okay, so we're going to put about 25 watts into it. We're using a little 25 watt linear, so we're not going to spank it very hard. We got a foot pedal switch wired to it, and see if it'll key. Audio. I'm not hearing it key, but it's definitely dropping the power down. We're getting amplification. Audio. So we're getting about 50 watts so far. Now I got this switch here, I have no idea what it does. Putting out more now. Putting out a lot more now. Pegging that 200 watt scale. Okay, so we're getting audio about 450. So we're getting 450 with 25 watts, and that's pretty good, actually. That's actually really good. We're going to go ahead and put a bigger linear on it, spank it a little harder, and see what we get. So stand by. Let's switch out the linear to something a lot bigger. Okay, so we're going to replace these little 2 watt resistors with the same thing that my Henry 2K Classic has. And my Henry 2K Classic, it calls for a 20K 20 watt resistor. So we're going to go ahead and mount them on this piece of metal. Got to drill some holes. Drill a hole in that, and then we'll use that to hold them down. This is going to bolt up to right there, and this will act like a heat sink also, help dissipate some of the heat. So we got to get to drilling on the black dots. Drill those holes out. Mount those caps, mount it up. Got to solder wires to that, and then wire the bleeder resistors, the big ones, to these 2 capacitors. So that's going to be across these 2. It's 20K 20 watt. This capacitor is not going to see that. This capacitor is going to see two series resistors, because these are going to be series, or they're parallel, but they're actually hooked in series. So the two resistors actually become hooked together in series as far as you looking at the overall circuit. So they'll be parallel across this, and now it's going to, like I said, make it you know, higher on the ohms. So yeah, there we go. We're going to go ahead and do some more machine work. Build another bracket, mount her, wire her, get her done. We'll be back. Okay, so the leader resistors are mounted. Just gonna trim up the wires, solder each of them across both legs of these capacitors, bring it up on the variac, cross my fingers. But yeah, gonna give it a go. Stand by. Okay, it's all wired into these two capacitors there, and everything's all mounted. That'll actually function as a heat sink too and help dissipate heat. We got that mounted safely. Last time we powered this thing up, we're jumping 25 watts in it. We're getting 450 out. So we're going to variac it, and hopefully she'll pass the variac test, and then we'll put some more watts in it than we did before. We'll be putting about probably 140 in it. Alright, stay tuned for that. Okay, variac test time again. Okay, variac is on. Start putting some voltage in it. Feels okay so far. If you start having a problem, you'll start getting resistance in this knob when you turn it, and then you know that you got it dead short. Okay, where are we at? 60 volts. Everything's holding. Starting to show movement on this meter here. Tubes are starting to light up. $78 volts. I'm hearing something I'm not liking. I don't know what, but hearing a little snapping. So I'm gonna power it down, let it rust, and open the top and look on it once the voltage bleeds off. Catch me in a bit. Have it gone. I talked my friend into actually getting this Harbach board. It's for an SB220, but it's exactly what we need. It 8 capacitors. It gives you like, what, 3,700 volts, something like that. It's got the bleeder resistors. This way here, everything will be balanced. It'll be right and tight. So that's going to be it for the Homebrew Linear Part 2. Stay tuned. He ordered the Harbach board, so it's on its way. Whenever it gets here, we'll build it, install it, and then we'll have Homebrew Part 3 coming up at Psychotech Labs. Thanks for watching my videos, everybody. Stay tuned for Homebrew Part 3 when we get the Harbach board.